Hi, everybody. Happy New Year. And Happy New Year. This is Welcome to Between the Sheets. This is our first show of the year. Yay. And I'm obviously mathematically challenged because there's only a certain amount of people that can fit in this room. And, well, I screwed up. But nonetheless, Tony accommodated us, and we mostly all know each other, so it's going to be so much fun. I hope you guys had a great Christmas and a New Year, and 2020 is going to be amazing, which is why I wanted to start the show on an upbeat topic where I think most people make resolutions and stuff, and you can make the resolutions, you can walk the walk, but you need to you need to walk the walk and talk the talk. Everything else is a bunch of bullshit unless you actually do work on yourself. And I think a resolution is nothing unless you actually put the effort behind it. And it doesn't matter how slow you go. It's with your own pace and it's your own journey. So this show is about awareness and awakening. Yay. It is heady. I want you guys to call in. We're all going through some struggles. We're all going through some stuff. And you know what? It's always good to have a community, especially of women, to help us find the answers or to help us on our path. You can call in at 323-524-2599. And on the panel this evening, we have, hold on, I got to read this, Kundalini meditation teacher. You're probably friends with her on Facebook, Francesca Astor. To her left, we have author, spirit healer, and transformational coach, Deborah Mittler. She's on Facebook, too. And then we have a good friend of mine. I'm secretly in love with her, but she knows it. She has the most beautiful eyes. She's here from Ojai. She drove in all the way from Ojai. She is a little bit of everything. She is a healer, an intuitive, just Mother Earth for me. And
wow, thank you.
And I'm so happy you're here because you are so grounding. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Therese Hartman. She's on Facebook too, but she's more discriminatory. So, and then we've got all the way from Rome, Yay. All you between the sheets, crazy fans that keep following us. Durga's here. It's Yay. Durga McBroom.
Hi.
And then we have my buddy, Kimberly Sanchez.
Hello, everybody.
And we all know one of my psychic people,
yes,
Cheryl Murphy.
Yes, great to be here.
And then we've got the sex pot of the crowd, Mara Shane.
Hi, everyone.
Oh my God,
glad to be here. Happy New Year.
And then we have Tony Sweet on the keyboards.
Hi, Tony.
So, I kind of started off the show about, sort of what we strive for. I think everybody, we all try and work on each other, and guys, don't be so hard on yourself. We do stumble and fall, and the most important key is when you stumble and fall, you get up. It's okay. It really is okay. So I'm going to start off with Francesca. She is a Kundalini person, and explain what the hell Kundalini is.
Well, Kundalini yoga and meditation is an ancient practice, very ancient actually, and it's the yoga of awareness, awakening, and knowledge.
Keep talking.
Okay.
Tony will fix it.
And the wonderful thing about Kundalini yoga, and I think there are a lot of misconceptions, but I think the wonderful thing about Kundalini is we work on every aspect of your body, your mind, your spirit, your soul. And being a registered nurse as well, we work on every aspect. So I could do a set for your liver, for your kidneys, for your heart, for your lungs, for your digestion. We do a lot of pranayama, which is breath work, which I absolutely love, because if you can get someone to breathe properly, and there are all kinds of pranayama that I teach, that's better than anything else you can do, because I think your breath will get you through life no matter what. So we do a lot of breath of fire, which removes toxins from the body, left and right nostril breathing. Breathing through the left nostril is a wonderful way to relax and rid yourself of any anxiety, where breathing through the right nostril will wake you up, and we balance the brain. We meditate, we chant. It's working. Kundalini means the serpent that's asleep at the base of the spine. And it's energy. It's all about energy. And it's to awaken this energy. And then that energy, when she awakens, goes through all the chakras. So it's a very beautiful, beautiful yoga, and I've been teaching now for about 20 years, and I've had the honor of practicing with Gurumukh Karkalsa, Guru Shabad, and the Sarasat Singhs who are in Italy. I've had amazing teachers. And I think where I focus on most of all is the emotions.
Yeah.
Kim had brought that up. Because if you don't deal with your emotions and you keep shoving them, what's going to happen? We're going to find imbalances in our bodies. We're going to get sick, unfortunately. We all have the same emotions, and there should be no shame around those emotions.
Right. Now, Deborah, regarding that, sort of pinballing off of that, you're a spiritual healer and transformational coach. You can plug your book now.
My book. Do you want me to talk about my book?
Yeah, talk about your book and talk about what you do and how that springboards or complements, if it does, what Francesca does.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Francesca talked about, not suppressing our emotions. I think that's the most important thing because our emotions, it's like kind of a little kid. And so they're crying, right? You're telling the little kid, shut up, stop crying. So you're continuing being the mean parent to that little kid. So we never really learn self-love until we learn to self-love and self-parent ourselves. And that's making more conscious choices, but also recognizing, hey, when I'm upset, take a deep breath, stop. Just say, hey, you know what? I got you. I feel you. What's going on? Ask your inner child, because whenever we're upset, that's our inner child crying, saying, hey, there's something going on. And it usually comes from a deep repressed emotion from when we were little. Because what's happening when we get triggered by something, it's bringing up our unresolved issues that we never dealt with that's stored in our bodies. And what Francesca talked about, the emotions, we don't deal with it. It just gets stored and stored and stored. And what I help my clients do is release that so they could come back home to their authenticity and live from that space. Because we have so many layers of emotional traumas, situations, that's covering who we are and all these conditionings and how our parents told us how we should be and how society told us how we should be. And we don't even know who we are. And a lot of people start to take drugs and overeat and do all kinds of things because they just don't know how to be with themselves. And a lot of that's because they suppress themselves and they don't know who they are.
But Deborah, if I can ask this really quick.
Yeah.
So what if it's a trauma in your childhood that's so far down you don't even know what it is? Can you work with that, through that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, so with trauma, I don't force it. So when you're ready to deal with it, you'll deal with it. The thing is, you deal with what's present today, and that stuff does come up. Now, in a session, if I was having a session with you and you're feeling something in your body's speaking, so it's ready to be processed at that time. But you don't want to force a healing. You don't want to bring it up until the person's emotionally ready to deal with it. And that's why sometimes healing takes a little longer for certain people. A lot of people ask me, well, how long is it going to take? I'll never give you a time frame because I don't know your process, and it's really up to you and your spirit and your soul when you're ready to do that.
Can I just jump in here for a minute? Because I grew up meditating. My name is Durga. I was given that name by my spiritual teacher when I was 10 years old. Swami Muktananda gave me that name. And as Francesca was saying, when the Kundalini Shakti, which lays on the etheric plane, dormant at the base of the spine, when it's awakened and your spiritual journey happens, it starts going up through the Sushumna, which is a pathway that corresponds to the spine, through the different chakras. And in these chakras, when you've had traumas and it's stored in your body, sometimes it's stored in that area. And as it breaks through, as the Kundalini Shakti breaks through those areas, that's when that trauma can be released. And a lot of times, trauma that you're not aware of, if you have a very healthy spiritual practice, that's when a lot of times it can come up. If you're in meditation, if you're in practice, if you're in yoga, then something will come into your head. You'll have a vision of a time when you were a child that you did not remember. And as you work through that, then it's released.
And you can also experience physical,
Yes.
what we call physical kriyas.
Yeah.
When I used to go to Guru
Mai.
Mai's, retreats, what happened is people would be just thriving all over
Writhing
the place.
around, looking like an insane asylum.
They were having seizures, and
Yeah.
they weren't.
And spontaneous pranayama.
Spontaneous.
Well, the thing is, T lives in Ojai, and Ojai is very spiritual. And, you met Ram Dass.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw the picture on Facebook.
Yeah, and he just recently
I know.
died.
We just really have to take a moment and appreciate Ram Dass. You know, we
Yeah.
really have to.
I mean,
just-
truly, my my favorite quote is, "We're all walking each other home." And I'm probably, I don't know why, but that so resonates with me. But you grew up in Ojai.
Yeah. So, and one of the things I grew up, I was telling Francesca, on a farm on like 10 acres with 5 brothers. And so, and they're building forts and shooting guns and all this. And, so I'm off by myself. My mom's like far too busy to take me to go play with friends. So I was out in the fields and I started running experiments when I was little. So I learned to throw myself into a trance when I was 3. Just by running in a circle, run. And, it's like you don't feel anything, right? So you just feel like happy. And on top of that, my grandmother had been a nun for 10 years, and she was a very mystical variety. And then I think my grandfather may have gotten her pregnant. I'm not sure, but I mean, I'm
Well,
great.
somebody
I'm
obviously got a pregnancy. I mean, it
I
was
know.
not the Immaculate Conception. That only happened once.
It wasn't from
very
spinning
happy.
around and around.
But I think spending all that time, it's like you start doing these fun experiments. And for me, it's like, well, what is your paradigm for life? And I think that's the quickest way to get yourself out of a funk is to shift the paradigm, right? So it's like I've always kind of considered life like a scavenger hunt. So, finding this and that. So your eyes are like wide open. And because of that, I've met the most interesting people, like Gangaji in the forest in Rishikesh, and Carlos Castaneda's group. Having lunch with them, and Deepak Chopra, and just like randomly.
I'm hanging out with you from now on.
Randomly, it just it happens. So I had dinner with Ram Dass one night because I was over visiting this woman that I met, and she was like, "Oh, come stay with me. I have this little shack, by the ocean." And I was like kind of feeling sorry, and she was so nice. I'm like, of course I'll come. So I come, and it's like this beautiful like mansion with like whales going by. I'm like, what? She goes, would you like some coconut water? And I'm sure. So she like takes a coconut out of the refrigerator and breaks it.
Like real coconut water.
I mean, it was. And then she goes, and RD's coming over for dinner. I'm thinking, who's RD? And then I'm like, Ram Dass? And sure enough, and it was. And so, I got to spend some time with him. And today I was over at Julie Cypher's house, who's, very has been devoted to Ram Dass. And I found out that she, was with his body. And
Seriously, wow.
Yeah, so she told me some, really interesting things about him. But he was a great teacher, and, kind of led me back to my childhood, because that was one of my first books. And I remember, I'm a little dyslexic, so, to see all the pictures, I was walking down this long gravel driveway with no shoes on because we taught swimming lessons. And so I'm trying to imagine what it's like to be here now. So I started going into that flow state, and, it's like I could feel the gravel and the sun and the trees and all of that. And so when I was able to meet with him, I said, is that what it's like to create a portal? And because I could go back there as though it's happening right now. And he said, yes, that's right. But after I had dinner with him, I came home, and my dad said they were filming on the driveway. I'm like, what are they filming? They're filming some movie about Ram Dass.
Huh?
On the driveway.
Wow.
So it's like these little synchronicities that show up. You put like a certain amount of energy somewhere, and it like makes it holy.
But that's the
somehow.
thing. It's like, we were talking about astrological signs. Don't even ask before. But it's like, what, like, why do people gravitate toward us? I mean, and the word energy and synchronicity and vibration, people really throw that around loosely. Inner child, they say it, but no one really knows what it means. Religion, the religious factors, that, and then they go, well, you're religious, so you have like Catholic, Jewish, whatever. So where the hell does spirituality come in? What's spirituality? And then people throw that term around so loosely. I'm spiritual. What the hell does, I'm trying. I'm so trying. What does that mean?
I can take a stab at this.
Okay.
I mean, okay, it's funny. I was listening to what you were saying. My mother was very good friends with Werner Erhard. who started EST. So when I did the first EST training ever held in Los Angeles. In fact, I'm one of the reasons they created a young person's training, because I was like playing with my Snoopy, throwing it up in the air, and Werner turned around and looked at me and said, "Will you knock it the F off?" And that's when I got it. I was actually thinking, maybe I should be paying attention. So anyway, so I grew up with that. I met Ram Dass. I was going to ask you, growing up in Ojai, if you ever saw when Krishnamurti used to speak. I went up to that. I used to see Krishnamurti. And Werner was the one who was responsible for bringing Baba Muktananda to the West. So I grew up around all this stuff. And as a result, my mother was a seeker, and she took me and my sister around the world to different places. So as a result, I've been into a lot of houses of worship of many different denominations. And the thing I discovered is when everybody stops talking, there is a presence that is beyond the dogma and beyond the words. And to me, that is spirituality. The rest of it is religion. It's that thing that exists beyond words.
It's that stillness.
Yeah, exactly.
My favorite word.
Yeah,
Stillness.
But it's true. I mean, meditation. That's a problem for me.
No.
Really?
Shocking.
I never would have guessed.
Although,
Wait, because like we were talking about taking a trip to Esalen.
Yeah.
Right? A group trip to Esalen. And we were like, do you think that you can be quiet, Gaye?
By the way, you know the ranch that I lived on for 3.5
Yeah.
years, the Santa Lucia Ranch, my husband's
Yeah,
family.
yeah.
That's across the street from Esalen.
oh, well, we're going to go.
Oh,
We're
wow.
doing a Between the
Wow.
Sheets trip. I don't know how we're doing. I don't know yet. We just talked about it. I've got to prepare.
Okay, well, you need to let me know, because
what
maybe I
to
can
do.
We're gonna
look
come
something up.
see you. That's where we're going.
Yeah. Oh, a Roma. Vieni a
Yeah.
Roma. Molto bene, perché io vivo a 10 minuti il Vaticano. I live 10 minutes from the Vatican.
Okay.
Oh,
We'll be there.
There you go.
I don't know if I'd be one of. I had many years of
Yeah, the Vatican
Catholic
kinda
shit.
sucks.
I'm not doing
No.
that. I'll pass up the
The,
Pope. Although this Pope is pretty good compared to the rest of them.
He slapped that lady.
I know he did. So my point is getting back on track, Durga. Now I remember why you used to piss the shit off of me.
Got such a good laugh.
That was funny.
So
funny.
I mean, like, okay, because I'm throwing all these terms around, and I want everyone to jump in because I don't have the answers. I mean, I've been. I came out to California. I was raised Catholic, sorry. But I was raised, and I know that I just didn't quite fit into that paradigm. It just wasn't anything that I resonated with. So I came out to California. I did the law school thing. But I started, I found the Psychic Eye bookshop. And I was drawn to it. And I would spend hours and buying so many books of stuff. And, I did the runes. I'm with the witch stuff. I mean, I thought I did the witch stuff, but it was fascinating, like white magic. What was it, Just going through crystal healing, candle healing, light healing, this crap and that crap. But it was just really, and it's not crap. It just didn't, those things just didn't resonate with me. But, I mean, I guess my definition of spirituality is to be open to everything and to whatever... You become, okay, this is going to sound weird, but we become our own church, meaning I can pick a little bit of Judaism or a little bit of this or a little bit of that, whatever resonates with me. I kind of am making my own religion, something that I can resonate with. But every single one of them talks about this meditation thing, okay?
Can I jump in?
Sure.
Okay. Since I'm a meditation teacher. No, what I wanted to say, because so many people say that, oh my God, I can't meditate, my mind, oh my. What we have to realize is that the mind only knows to think. Okay, and we have to have compassion for our minds. It doesn't know it has a higher consciousness. So you can meditate, and what I tell the students is to bring themselves back to the third eye, which is your sixth chakra. It's a seat of wisdom and intuition. So your mind's going to wander. So as those thoughts come in, you want to touch them like clouds in a vast sky, acknowledge them, bow to them, just like you do with the emotions. But you learn in time to sit, just to sit. It should never be difficult. People feel like, oh my God, I have to meditate a certain way. Not necessarily.
Well, but the thing is, obviously the universe is telling me I need to meditate because... a friend of mine just bought me a Christmas present, which is a meditation cushion.
Subtle.
That that, by the way, she said she was testing out. Okay, so I have the meditation cushion, and as I bring up again that Dr. Joe Dispenza has the Rewired series, and I watched the meditation one a few times, and I get it. I mean, I'm not stupid. I understand what meditation is. I can hear you saying, shut the mind off, the third eye.
No, not shut the mind.
Well, you know what I
off.
mean. But what I'm saying is, like, if you sit there, I mean, even if I'm looking at something, my mind is looking at something, and if it's a clock, I'm seeing that thing go. So how do you get to that state? I don't even know what state am I supposed to get to?
They even say that
practice.
a meditation could be a single breath. It could be just
Absolutely.
a single mindfulness, inhale,
Absolutely.
exhale, and being present with that breath.
Absolutely.
true.
And that is a meditation.
Absolutely.
Isn't it a practice? I mean, it's a practice. We're sharing a mic, y'all. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Isn't
Y'all?
it a practice? Well,
Certain Orleans.
I was in Atlanta. Anyway, so you'd have to train that. It doesn't come naturally. Just like if you couldn't go run a marathon either, you'd have to start with short runs.
Well, that's
It's
why
a
they
di-
call
it's
it
a discipline.
It's a spiritual
It's
practice.
It's a practice.
It's a
and
daily
discipline.
thing.
And it's something you choose to do or not do. And the thing is, I think there are many people who feel, I'm going to sit on this pillow and I'm going to become enlightened. No. All your crap's going to come up. That's what's going to happen.
Yep.
And that's what you're going to deal with. And a lot of people run from that. I shouldn't say a lot. I don't know how many. But people...
Damn it, Francesca! I want an exact number.
But because it's scary to have all those feelings come up. And then, again, we talked about this Shakti that happens, this energy that comes up. And you go, my God. I remember elevating off my meditation pillow.
No,
at
for
one
real
point.
or in your head?
No, I literally, I was shaking so much from the meditation that I was going through, from the Shakti, that I was literally coming off my pillow.
Has that ever happened to you, T?
I mean, I've
Stuff
had,
like that?
I've had different things happen that probably more private, but and I
Well, now it's not.
Nobody's listening.
And I
Go
think it's
ahead.
just like, there's symptoms of moving through places.
Yes.
But, for me, it's like the meditation because you're very passionate. And I think you can use that in the creativity. So it's like to enter the quantum field, which is, like, I guess, spirituality or God. But, going to your heart, because after all, you have more information going from your heart up through your nervous system, through your brain, than the reverse. So, if you go to your heart, that's where you make the best decisions.
Absolutely.
And just stay there. That's just that simple.
Now, speaking of, okay, intuition, okay, what is it? I mean, we usually don't follow it.
I do.
I do.
I do.
Well, you got to notice, first of all, where you feel it in your body, and your intuition isn't always logical. So that's why we don't
Never.
follow it. It usually comes in guidance, but we're like, oh, wait, that doesn't compute with my rational mind, so I'm not going to follow it, or it's not what I wanted. A lot of people think your
Yes.
intuition is exactly what I wanted, it's going to go my way.
But
But
I had a
it's not.
conversation with a friend of mine about intuition. Where does intuition come from? Like where is it?
It's like they say that it's like that gut feeling, like
No, I got
it's
it,
a
but
knowing.
who-
Some people
but-
think it's your guardian angels that are speaking
That's
to
what I'm saying.
you,
But
you
where
know?
really? I mean, seriously, where does intuition come from?
Well, that's that. I think that would be individual. I mean, if you took a deep breath, close your eyes, and just kind of ask that energy to show you where it comes from, you'll be able to sense where it comes from.
But is it God? Is it the universe? Is it someone sending
Well,
us a message? Is it?
that
The
you could
quantum
only
field.
know for yourself?
Maybe it's a lot of the combination.
God damn it!
They
We
just
have a
call it
caller.
different
Hold on,
things.
we have a caller. They hung up. Call back.
Hey, no hanging up here.
Yeah, no hanging up.
Not loud.
Wait.
Come
Well,
on.
here's the thing. Is as human beings, we rely far too much on our basic senses, our five senses. And that's how we think we perceive things. But there are other avenues of perception that we are capable of, and that is where our intuition comes through. It's an actual message or an impulse or something on a plane that we're not readily aware of.
So
Right,
how do
and
you tap into that?
I
though?
actually did a
Get
book
out of the way.
for a while.
out of the way.
When I was in San
Exactly.
Francisco, it was called Practical Intuition by Laura Dern. She's a
the actress.
not Laura Dern. Laura. Great. I
Boy,
don't
she's
remember
smart.
her last name.
It's
now.
okay because T has a connection to Laura Dern. T knows her mom.
Sorry, Practical Intuition. I feel so badly that I don't remember Laura's last name. It's just not hitting.
It's
right
okay.
now.
You gave the title. They'll
Anyway,
look it up.
It was a book that had exercises at the end of each chapter, and I got really into it. And she starts off by asking you, what are 3 things that you would like guidance on in your life? And you write down the questions that you would like. And she says throughout this book, we're going to be answering those questions, but you won't in an indirect way. So there's these exercises where she literally got my brain trained, and I got good. I got good at like writing things on pieces of paper that were turned upside down and knowing which question I was talking about. I even predicted the name of one of the horses on the tracks that she was, trying to get us. And it's so funny because I screamed when I got that right. I was just like, how the hell? And this lady that I was talking to said, oh, she probably gave you some verbal, some sort of thing for you. But I only got half the horse's name, but I was so close to it. So what I'm trying to say is the more I did it, the sharper it was a skill. The practice, the sharper I could predict and read energy, and like it was crazy.
It's not crazy. That's the thing.
It's normal.
As adults, we are convinced and taught you're not supposed to be able to do this. But as kids, man, my mom and I used to play. My mom was a doctor. We used to play the diagnose the patient game. So when I was about 9 or 10, she'd call me in. Here's a new patient. Oh, isn't my daughter cute? Blah, blah. And she'd put me in the next room and say, diagnose the patient. And I was 100% because I didn't know I wasn't supposed to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Well, everyone, call in 323-524-2599. I promise when Tony tells us, we'll keep quiet and we'll acknowledge you guys. 323-524-2599. And no, I haven't had it memorized. And now we have a caller. Hi, everybody, whoever you are. What's your name? This is Gaye. Welcome to Between the Sheets.
Hey, this is Jonna Lee.
Jonna Lee from Florida.
Hi, Jonna Lee.
How are you, sweetheart?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Fine. So I know you've been texting or whatever here, and you've got probably a lot of questions or a lot of information, or join the crowd. Tell us what you want, honey.
So I wanted to, lots of food for thought here, and I wanted to first touch on, I want to know what your guys' thoughts are on what I perceive as the new religion of memes. It's like there's this religion right now.
What's it called?
Where it's like religion of memes.
Memes.
Oh.
Are you talking about those silly little things
it's like,
on the internet?
There's like this cult going on right now where everyone is talking about, just like what you said earlier, Dan, about higher vibration and being in touch. And it's all coming out in memes and like
because you know why? They're illiterate is what the problem is. They don't know how to spell, so they're using like emojis and memes.
No, but memes are like Jonna Lee, wouldn't you say that they're just like very like creative, quotey things? How would you describe a meme? Why don't you let everyone know what that is?
Well, I mean, it's like probably 90% of my feed on Facebook, for example, is everyone talking about higher vibration.
Yeah.
And I don't really know like that anyone fully understands the concept of, the whole law of attraction and everything. And it's like people, I mean, if the law of attraction were a thing, like what about people that are like starving and constantly, they have their vision boards too in different continents and they're struggling, and everyone just seems to have this, you just ask for it and you're just going to get it.
Jonna Lee?
I don't know.
Lee?
I feel it goes back to,
Are you calling the laws of attraction bullshit?
Yeah, I got to call bullshit on part of it. Like, I mean, I know that there are mirror neurons and everything, but the whole law of attraction, I think that we don't really have a grasp of what that is. I think like 90% of us don't. And so there's just this whole, like, spirituality going on right now where everyone just wants you to be in this artificial state of happiness, like all the time.
Right.
And if you come to them with anything other than any other emotion, and you want to express that, then you're bringing them down. You're the Debbie Downer.
Okay, so you're talking
not
about
manifesting.
spiritual bypassing, and this happens a lot in the New Age society that we're experiencing. And I agree with you. And I think the law of attraction has its place, and I also think that it could be dangerous at times. And what I mean by that is like, how do you say to a cancer patient, oh, you created this? I mean, there are ways of, people just get sick, and we can't explain that.
Yeah.
And so I hear exactly what you're saying, and I think in our younger generation and this new age of, oh, you can't think of anything negative. Well, that's ridiculous. There's a shadow side and there's a light side,
Exactly.
and you have to deal with both of
Embrace
it. Bottom line.
I mean, that's the thing. It's
Right.
like they always think, oh, if you put a worry thought out there, it'll come back. Well, that's not true. Have you ever worried about something and it happened? And have you ever worried about something and it didn't happen? So it's just like how
It's
much.
too black and white.
Right.
Like,
Exactly,
I got really,
exactly.
really heavily into the law of attraction, and I would say I was almost brainwashed from it. I would listen to Esther Hicks, Jerry and Esther Hicks
Yeah.
all the time, Abraham, and I adore them still. I still love it, but I was in a point where I was really brainwashed because I was listening to it every day. And the only part I don't resonate with anymore is that it gets a little dangerous when you feel that your thoughts can control everything, that we have that much power, you know. I think that there is a grain of salt to every single spiritual and religious concept, and you just take what you like and leave the rest.
But I think too, I mean, part of the law of attraction, people take the very simplistic piece of it and go, "Oh, if I just wish it, it'll be so." But that's not what the law of attraction
That's
is.
true.
It's
You really
absolutely not
it's
what
really
it is.
getting yourself in alignment. And yes, there are two different sides of the stick. There's the negative and the positive. Their focus is to pay attention to how you're feeling, because you're probably putting more emphasis, your thoughts and your focus are more emphasizing on the negative, and that's why you're perpetuating more of the same thing.
But here's the thing, you know, talking
Right.
about reprogramming. Jenna Lee, you can stay on if you want. About reprogramming, because we're all conditioned. You know, there's all these external factors that are conditioning us, and that's based on how we make our decisions. But how do we get to the state of presence? Because, like, we can have stuff in the past, which obviously is going to affect our decisions. You know, we worry about stuff in the future that we can't control and we don't even know. So how do you get to that state of being present, T? Because I know you're always present. You're
Not
always.
always. Not
Well,
always.
I don't know, but for me, I've always seen you always being present, and even the advice that you give and stuff, it's always really from a certain grounding and a present, like being in the now.
I've spent a lot of time by myself, but you know, I think everybody wants to be happy, right? I mean, we all want to be happy, but we think like, you know, with the law of attraction, if we have a, you know, relationship, if we have a lot of money, you know, if we don't have cancer, that's going to make us happy. But you know, having lived in India for a year, and you see the beggars on the street, they're having more fun. They're sitting together in a group, you know, than some of the people that are in these mansions that they don't know their neighbors and they're stuck. You know, so it's like you can never really assume that you know, something like bad happens, that person that it's happening to is feeling it in that way. It might, you know, it's like Carolyn Mays was talking about sacred contracts. Well, we each have our own sacred contract. And, you know, it's especially for us. So sometimes those tough times, you know, you feel lonely or whatever it is, but that leads you to go deeper. You know?
And pain's a great teacher. I mean, a lot of people want to avoid pain, but pain comes up because it, you know, it gives us an opportunity to change. It gives us opportunity for healing. There's so much greatness in pain that when we go into it and allow it and embrace it as a part of our soul's growth and evolution, then we won't poo-poo it so much. You know, the thing is, we're taught.
See, my goal is not to be happy. So that's my spirituality. When you talk about it, and you mentioned it earlier, what does it mean to you? It doesn't mean happiness.
What do
So
you
for
mean?
me, it is feeling everything, being present, feeling the darkness, feeling every shade of color, and being present and letting it go as it comes. So not just like holding on to it, but letting the emotions be transient like they're supposed to be. Let it ebb and let it flow and release it.
Yeah, but
So I
some people
think,
can't do
you know,
that.
what I was meaning, like with the
Well, it's because of it's because of the trauma. You know, a lot of times it's like we want to be present, but our subconscious, our nervous system is keeping us from being present. So all these things on like teaching you, oh, I need to be present, I need to be present, but our nervous system is not present for whatever reason. It's a protective mechanism. It's stuck in time. It's stuck in that traumatic experience, so it can't be present today.
How do you fix that? I mean, how do you work through that?
Well, it's a process of healing and forgot your name. Sorry. Durga shared about, and doing the spiritual practice, but also understanding, like going into that space and giving that space a new understanding. Because if you don't give that space a new understanding, you'll continue to filter your perceptions and your points of views from that experience when you were 5, 6, 7 years old.
So it's awareness. Then you've got to be aware.
Awareness, but awareness is the first step. The second step is going into it, healing it, helping. The inner child, whatever you want to call it, you can have a picture, but I say it's an energy that's stuck inside of us. It's an energy blockage, going into that energy, giving that energy an opportunity to speak, because at that time, it doesn't know really language. An emotional little kid doesn't know rational. So it's like understanding from that space, having that part speak to us from that space, and helping that part understand,
and
have
also,
a better understanding.
trauma sits in every cell of your body. So also you need guidance, and you need a professional who works with EMDR, who works with, trauma, and the somatic therapists out there are the people who you want to be able to guide you through trauma.
When we talk about how we're just supposed to be happy, I mean, even the medical profession in America doesn't support that. If you're not happy, I mean, some people really need medication. Okay? But I mean, if you go in and you're slightly depressed, they're like, oh yeah, take a pill. Take a pill. Take a pill. So the type of healing that you guys do, if that were more mainstream in this country, we would all be so much healthier.
But I have a question. Hold on. But I have a question. Can people do this without going to a professional like yourself?
Okay, so I healed myself from 23 years of anorexia. I was in and out of hospitals and treatment centers with anorexia, depression, anxiety, suicide, everything. And none of the treatment centers helped me. Everybody asked me, I speak at UCLA twice a month, and everybody asks me how I got better. First of all, I said I stopped going into treatment centers because all they were doing was treating the symptom.
Right.
They were putting me on medication, which I'm so against. Because if someone's depressed, you're suppressing that depression, which that depression has the answers to your healing. So doctors just keep you putting on and medication for the body. I mean, that's poison there. And they just kept putting weight on me, and I'd lose the weight when I came out because I didn't feel safe in the world. I didn't feel safe in my family. I didn't feel safe with myself. It's like all I wanted was somebody to love me. Nobody taught me to love myself. They didn't give me those tools. They just thought, okay, anorexia, she's going to eat. Okay, she's healthy now. She has given. No, internally, I still felt the same. So I was cutting myself. I was doing all kinds of things. I was very abusive with myself. So my whole journey, my healing journey has gone from self-hate into self-love, and that's what the bottom line is really being more loving and gentle with ourselves, because we're going to have issues. It's just part of life. They're not going to go away. I say, pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. Exactly. Exactly. You don't have, it's like all these things on, no, okay. We can learn how to be with ourselves in loving ways when we're experiencing pain. We're not taught that.
But don't you think doing it by yourself? I mean, some people can, but I would say,
rare.
would you say,
okay,
Gaye,
so that's
it's
way
rare.
Yeah.
Why are you looking at me? Would I say again? Because
it was your question.
It is. It's very rare. But
it's hard.
It's
So
hard.
then go
and
get help.
But you know what?
That's why I do what I do, because I know it. Because I took myself through the healing journey, and it's not easy.
But
It's
I'll
a
tell you
strong
something.
soul.
Okay, so I'm fortunate. I have a really I'm in gratitude. I haven't had major shit happen to me. So when the little shit happens to me, it's a big trauma. Because I mean, it's like oh my God, this happened, and for somebody else, it's like get over it. But for me, that is huge.
Because what a trigger is, it's you're bringing up something from the past. So it doesn't have to be. It'd be like, oh my God, she looked at my bottle wrong. You'd be like, she looked at my bottle. So that's a trigger. So that's something that you're blowing something way out of proportion. It has nothing to do with that.
Okay, wait a minute,
Hold on,
wait
wait
a
a minute. People, I am so not a drama queen. Just want to clarify that.
No. But wait. Because I've known you for a while.
Really?
I've known you for a while. What I know about you is you have a huge heart and you hate to not be in control. So when emotion comes, is not accurate? You don't like not being in control. So when emotion,
it's my show, damn it.
So when emotion comes up for you that you don't know how to handle, you want to control it. And that's one thing everyone has been saying about being present. How I got through losing my husband was just being present to my pain and my loss. And I had friends who were like, okay, I'm going to come over and we're going to do this. And I was like, no, you're not going to come over. You're going to let me grieve and let me go through this and let me be in grief for as long as I need to be in it. And they could not understand it.
I hate that word because that comes up for like death of a parent,
Yeah.
death of a spouse,
Well, that's
and
the
death
thing.
of a fucking relationship.
Well, yeah. And that's
You're grieving
that's
a part of your life or a part of you that was actually connected to them. So it's important. I cried for 2 years on the floor in my condo. And I'm at the beginning of my healing, like to the depth of my soul, to release a lot of that. Just like you have to.
Yeah.
Like you gotta
you
release
have
that
to
stuff.
be in it as long as you're in it. And for somebody who does not like to relinquish control, that is almost impossible to do. But what winds up happening is
Hold on, eye roll.
Facial expression says it all.
what winds up happening is you are just suppressing it and you're pushing it away and you're trying to fix it and you're trying to change it, and it just is gonna sit there for as long as you keep trying to until you let it go.
Or somebody's going to activate it on road rage.
So I just want to say
But
that,
doesn't it so like, can't you tie that into meditation also? Because you guys were saying that it's about being present, but I kind of feel like meditation is also about like not being present, like totally letting go and being out of body. Like for me, it's music, it's writing, that kind of stuff.
Well, who
But
said
don't
you need
think
your
it all
body
kind
to
of
be
ties
present?
Together, like being in and out.
well, sometimes for me, meditation or the work that these ladies are doing, all of us, we surrender. It's
Yes,
about surrender.
Surrendering
Exactly.
control.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Bingo.
not judging.
Just
If
being
it's-
with what is.
Yeah, exactly. Being
And
with
not
what
judging
is.
yourself.
That's
You-
what
if-
presence is.
Yeah.
Being
Yeah.
with what is. It's
Yeah.
not like
Yeah.
presence. I'm not going to my thoughts are going to go and everything. I mean, your mind does what it does. I mean, just embracing
Right.
it.
And not
But
always
letting it
thinking
be.
that we have all the answers too,
That
because
too.
I mean that's been a practice of mine. It's like I'm always looking for little shortcuts, right? I'm not exactly lazy, but it's like I want to know the quickest way through.
Yeah.
And so for years, like I've had these great jobs, and I haven't even really gone to college, but just like some woman that was meditating called me and said, I see you working for this Japanese company. I'm like, what? And so I knew by then, call, right? So I call. They fired somebody to make room for me.
Wow.
And I became, the general manager of this big Japanese company, right? But then I injured myself and I was put on permanent disability. And so I'm, I know a lot about pain because I'm not even supposed to be sitting for more than 15 minutes. But,
Wow.
you learn to, embrace that. And it doesn't bother you anymore. You kind of rise above it. But, so when I wanted to go back to work, I actually asked. I was looking at the field of real estate, and I asked, well, what should I do? And on my list was a loan officer, but it wasn't anything I thought I should do because I'm kind of dyslexic, so it didn't seem like a good fit. And so I was supposed to go to New Mexico. I asked the question, like, what should I do? And as I'm pulling into the Burbank airport, I come around a corner and I see this special license plate. It says Lone Gal. And I'm like, I don't want to be a lone gal. I'm like, no, I'm fighting it, right? I'm fighting. And so I'm like, okay, well, you need to give me a better sign because I have these conversations, and the more you do, the more you do get answers.
Yep.
Right.
So I get on the plane and I was going to do the crossword puzzle to, take my mind off the pain. And it was like mine was filled out. So I get up, walk around. I see an empty seat, and I asked the guy, can I take the magazine? He's like, yeah, sure. I pull up the stack of magazines, and sitting on top is somebody's personal copy of Mortgage Originator.
Oh,
So it's like, okay.
Yes, I think that the universe or whatever gives you signs, definitely. And it's funny because sometimes when people say, well, that's because I was deliberately paying attention. That's why I see yellow cars everywhere because I was
Right.
thinking of a yellow car, and that's why I'm seeing them. But there are some things that are just really freaky that happen that you can't just, explain them away.
Hey, Jonna Lee. Jonna Lee, thanks for calling. I want to free
I'm
up the
here,
line
babe.
just in case,
Yep.
babe.
Thanks, Jonalie.
Thank you, honey.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody, don't
Absolutely,
forget.
my love.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
honey. Don't forget, you can call us 323-524-2599. Be part of the conversation. We welcome your opinions, your thoughts, and your questions.
I'd really like to talk and hear more about synchronicity and about signs.
Signs.
What about the red
Sing a
flags?
song for us.
Remember, listen to the red flags.
I hate those red flags, right?
Okay.
There's
Kim?
also green flags, though.
Right, Kim?
There's also
Don't we
green
hate
flags.
those red
Yeah,
flags?
but those red flags, we learn to listen. Okay, a
But
lot
no,
of us.
hold on. I see that. I don't. Okay, all right. Here, all right.
I know. Here we go.
Here we go. So the red flags. Okay, I kind of see them. My friends scream at me that they're there, but it depends upon my connection with the person that I make excuses. That. Oh well, or they had their background. They had trauma. This is why. I mean, I try to sort of analyze it. So yes, I think we all see the red flags, but I mean, how does like someone like me, because I'm human, how do I like if I care about someone? How do I like
Walk away then?
Yes,
Care
walk away.
about-
Yes.
Care
Go
about you
away.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Care
and
about you more.
absolutely. And I don't think we all see the red flags. They are so subtle.
Oh no,
And I
mine are
think-
resounding.
No, I think as your intuition grows, as your channel becomes cleaner, and you become more intuitive, then you will listen to those red flags because they're very meaningful. They're messengers for us.
Cool. Hold on. We got a caller. We have another caller.
Uh-oh.
Hi, it's Gayanne and the
Hey there,
ladies of
hi.
Between the Sheets. Who's calling?
Hey, this is Joe.
Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Joe the dancer. Hi, Joe. How are you?
Hey, hi, good. So I have a question regarding spirituality, but it's more on the spirit side. So regarding meditation and raising your vibration, et cetera, I'd like to know the experiences that your panel has had connecting with the other side, truly, if they believe that they can.
I have some
And if
You mean the
spirit
I
exists
see dead
beyond our
people?
physicality.
The I see dead people.
It happens.
It
All
does
the time.
happen.
I channel my parents all the
time.
time. And actually, this book was written through my guides, which is, I could say the inner side or whatever, but it's a higher energy.
What's the title of it again?
Awakening to Unconditional Love, Transformational Healing.
And it's on Amazon, right?
It's on Amazon.
Okay.
It's on my website, yeah. So, so this is all channeled writing. This is all written through me from who I call my guide, my loving voice, but I believe that it's from the other side because it's not energy that I'm really thinking with this mind. It just kind of flows through me. So things like that. Are you talking about as far as talking to people who have passed over?
Yeah, and like out of body. Like something that you cannot, there's no mistake. You're like saying, okay, that really happened.
Well, I've got an experience, okay, because I don't see dead people. If I saw a dead person, I'd have a heart attack, because I'm not open to it. No, I'm not open to it. I'm just not open to it.
You mean a ghost?
Kinda.
Okay.
So but I know I'm intuitive. I mean, a lot of people on this table have told me that I am. I just don't. I'm not comfortable right now with it, because I have blockages. But like when I was a kid, and I go back to when I was a child, my grandmother was in the hospital. Blah 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 blah, and I, of course, you're gonna make fun of me, but I had my own phone when I was a kid. I had my own phone line. Only child. I can't help it. So left the hospital. Truly left the hospital. And I wanted to stay with my grandmother because I got this weird feeling. But she was alert. She was like, no, go home, get some sleep. I go home, and I'm going to make the times up because I don't remember. Let's say 6:45 in the morning, my phone rang, like a real phone, people, not a cell. And I picked it up because I was half asleep, and it was like static, just static. And I was like, whatever, click. About 10 to 15 minutes later, my parents' phone rang. I kind of heard it, and then I get a knock on my bedroom door. We have to go to the hospital. Your grandmother died. So I automatically said that was my grandmother. Sure. But then I had this whole sense of guilt and remorse going, but I wasn't there when she died. I didn't tell her I loved her. And she knew I loved her, but it's like in my mind it was like this unfinished business, and I let her down, and maybe if I was there, she would not have died. So shoot back, that was 1980 something. I don't know, 82, I think. Shoot back, I'm in California, 1986, in law school. I met my first girlfriend because I realized I was gay. So we're in my studio apartment. And Sunday Times was my big thing. Entertainment section, no surprise. Calendar. So I get up and I sit on the bed and she's sleeping. And the weirdest thing happened. I mean, totally weird. She sat up in bed, like fully, what I thought to be fully awake. And then she starts speaking in Italian. Now, she was Costa Rican. She's not dead. Costa Rican. Not one lick of Italian. And in speaking in Italian, the message was from my grandmother telling me, don't worry. I know you loved me. Like, sort of let go of that. Like, you don't need that. It's cool.
Wow.
You've been carrying this around. It's fine, you know? And with that message, she literally collapsed on the bed.
Wow.
And of course, needless to say, I'm like, oh shit, what just happened? And then I'm like waking her up, trying to wake her up, and she's like dead almost, but she wasn't dead, but like kind of dead. And then all of a sudden, uncontrollable sobbing. Not me, her. And I'm thinking, oh shit, I'm going back to New Jersey. California's screwed up.
That is so.
Oh my God. And so what ended up happening is she woke up and she sat up and she literally was like tears. So she was kind of soaked. And she said, what happened? And I'm like,
oh my God.
what? And I told her, and it was really bizarre. But I mean, so that's one of my experiences. And that was my first girlfriend. My second girlfriend used to see dead people around the house and would always see my grandmother sitting at the edge of my bed when I'm sleeping. And then the last incident, and I swear this is the last one, my mother has lived with me, as you all know, and she was in the hospital, which usually has happened. And I'm in my bedroom. I have a roommate. She said to me, did you hear that? I'm like, hear what? She goes, your father. I said, my what? Now, my father's been dead since 2011, okay? This happened a couple years ago. I'm like, no, I did not hear my father. And she said, he called your name 3 times. Nothing. She said, call the hospital. I picked up the phone in the hospital. I called, and my mother was having some issue going on.
Oh, wow.
It was about midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. But for that message that I cannot hear, so I always find girlfriends that are like,
They're like
translators, you know?
Yeah.
And then I didn't end up going to the hospital. I ended up talking to the nurse and all that other stuff. But I mean, so Joe, for me, it's happened to me, but because I'm not open to it and I'm not receiving, I just happen to find people in my lives that become those translators.
That's interesting.
That's law of
Okay.
attraction. That's the
So
spirit
then-
world.
Hold on, Joe. Hold on,
Dan,
Joe.
you
Hold on, Joe.
believe-
Hold on, Joe. Cheryl has to say
That's
something.
that's law of attraction, Gaye, and that's the spirit world. Helping to get you that message, because the spirit world is very intelligent, and it's beyond our comprehension sometimes. And we're so much more powerful, and so is the spirit world. It's very loving. It's if we can just raise our vibration and connect with it. They do want to give us signs, right? There's thousands of signs every day coming from the universe. And it's just us that we miss them or we forget what the question we asked. But believe me, they're there. They want to work with you. They want to support you. They want to help you. They want to show you your own divine light. Yeah.
Cheryl, how do you, I'm sorry, Joe, just really quick, I have to ask Cheryl on what she just said. How do you really trust these signs instead of just going, oh, your logical mind either it's freaked out, it's like, oh, whatever, that was just coincidence, doesn't mean anything, or I'm just being hopeful here, thinking these are signs, but how do you really surrender to accepting that those are really signs?
Well, it's a great question. And it's a great question, and I just want to tell you, it's you having to trust yourself after a while, because that's what it does come down to, is trusting the spirit world and trusting yourself and surrendering once again to the process. But it is not about convincing someone who doesn't want to be convinced. It's about people who are open to it.
It's funny you say that, because usually I believe they're signs until I open my mouth and tell somebody, and who I'm hearing is, no, I'm hearing my dad saying that's not that way it is. That's not that, or a teacher from 4th grade, that's not logical.
What was the teacher in 4th grade's name? I bet you remember it.
No, I just use that as an example.
Okay.
But, the point is I think you're right. I think it comes down to learning when you trust your own voice above all other voices, and you trust yourself, then you start to trust in the universe and the signs you're getting.
Yeah, I love it when butterflies and birds, and I get my best messages from like the ocean, and like dogs will run up to me, and I'll be sitting near in the marina watching the boats, and birds will just come and like sit right next to me. I'm like, okay, bird, you have a message for me. So I actually close my eyes and I feel into the bird, and the bird speaks to me. It's so beautiful. I mean, when we're open to it, and it's spirit world's always talking to us. It's just so beautiful what you said, but it talks to us in a way that's not logical. So we really have to let go of our logic thinking mind and sense into what it's conveying to us.
It's three words, really. How do you believe in these signs? You choose to.
Yeah, but the other
And
thing
it's
is,
not only it's not always like about seeing people. It's an energy force sometimes. That's just when my sister died, and she had been gone for about, I don't know, maybe a month, 2 months, and I'm in Target with the grocery, little cart thing. I felt her beside me with such certainty that I almost turned to say to her, "What are you doing?" Or, I mean, it was such certainty that I just couldn't deny that it was true.
Yeah, that's
true.
what
I've had
sensing.
that. I've had that too with my
I think
friend
Joe
who
wants
passed
to
away.
say something.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Joe?
Joe.
I was going to say, I had an experience. It was
Joe, did you
totally
think you were going to
unmistakable.
word in edgewise with 8 women?
Between the sheets.
So, I had one where there was no mistake. I was connected with another spirit. But, throughout life, I wax and wane. Then I go, wait a minute. Really, what's going on here? Who doesn't believe? Like, I've got some friends, like I got a couple of friends that say, no, that's it. We die, we're done. Kaput. So.
But the thing is, like,
I'm
okay,
not
talking
sure.
about spirits. Okay, so there's the spirit world, the spirit, and then there's spirituality, which is something that comes from within our own intuition, our own. So we're here. So are we like this conduit that we should just be open to just getting, whether it's the spirit world coming in and giving us messages, or something that we're working on from our trauma that we oversee this. I mean, like we obviously have a lot of freaking voices talking to us. Why it's like, but how do you know what it? How do you tap into it? Like, could you just be? I mean, like.
Well, actually, so it's
let it
different.
be.
It's different for everybody. And actually, how I call her loving voice, it was by accident. I was doing my healing process, and I was looking in the mirror in my eyes, and all of a sudden I closed my eyes, and this English lady started speaking through me. And
Is
she's
she
like,
single? Sorry.
I don't know what she looks like. So, and it was so beautiful. So the more I talked to her, the more she came through. The more she came through. The more she came through. And
But did you
she's helped
talk,
me.
or did you talk?
No, I don't even know how it happened. She started speaking through me.
Okay.
And now it's like this book is written like, so I have questions. So what I do is I write the question on the top, and then it comes through my left hand within the question on the line. So for instance, says, how do I deal with this situation? So I write it long ways. How do I deal with this situation? And the answer comes exactly in alignment with that question, but going down the line. So I'm not thinking about anything. It's like this mind goes somewhere. I don't know where it goes, but a different energy like moves through me, and I call it my higher self. I'm connecting to something greater than this physical body, but it's a part of me. So I'm connected to it.
And you fully believe and trust in it, and that's why you're able to have it.
Exactly. But it's
Right.
taken me a while, and it was weird at the beginning.
Thank you, because
Freaked
like
me
at
out.
first, if you get freaked out by it, then
Yeah.
I'm sure that would be
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I want to say thank you all for your time. I'm going to release the line so somebody else can call in.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Joe.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, ciao.
Okay, I got some good stuff for you guys.
Okay.
I happen to think that in a previous life, I was an Egyptian preparer of the dead, because I have a real...
You mean an undertaker?
Basically,
Okay.
if you want to put it that way. But because I have a real, I don't know if it's an affinity, but I'm very comfortable around the dead. I've released at least 5 or 6 of my family's ashes. I don't have any qualms about dead bodies. I've been around several. I anointed my mother's body when she died, and it was just like nothing to me. And I think I don't know if it's as a result or just along with that, I know when someone's about to die because I see people around them. My ex-boyfriend's grandma, Sweetie, was like in and out of a coma for years in their house. and she would just kind of be asleep, and she'd wake up, and just sleep. And one day we went over there, and I saw a man and a woman at the foot of her bed. And I said to her daughter, who was my boyfriend's mother, did she have like a man and a woman, like a sister that predeceded her, and it was her son and her sister? And she said, yeah. I said, well, they're here. And she died the next day.
Unbelievable.
And another friend of mine, an amazing woman, she went from being this powerhouse to cancer just ravaging her. And the last time I saw her, I mean, they held such a vigil. All of our friends came through. They had a schedule, and people were just there and just holding space for her. And I went and saw her, and I brushed her hair. And in the old, like the EST and landmark education, there was an exercise called the being with exercise, where you just sit with someone and you just be with them. You just look in their eyes. Now, doing that with someone who is coming in and out of this plane of consciousness is deep.
Yeah.
So I just bead with her for like 20 minutes. I just looked in her eyes, and I could tell when she was there, and then she was not there, and then she was there. And I sang to her a little bit, and I had a gig that night at the Whiskey, and I said, okay, well, I have to go. And if I knew it was the last time I was going to see her. And I said, if you decide to leave your body at around 11:45, I'm going to be at the Whiskey, so come by and check out the show. Yeah. And my friend, who was a shaman, who was friends with the guy whose band it was, opened space at the beginning of the show and asked in that opening that she be guided on her transition. And the last song of the set, I hit this note that was so pure and so high, I knew she was there. And I got off stage and my phone rang and she had just died.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Oh, and I forgot the best part. There was this big, like 7 foot tall hooded figure at the foot of her bed the whole time I was there.
Great.
What
Okay.
was that, do you think?
Her guide,
Oh
waiting
my
for her.
God. It's so interesting how some people can see these things and some people can't.
And
Or-
you and I are blind to
no,
it.
no, I wouldn't say I'm not like Durga can, but I mean, when I lost my best friend Lindsay, I knew like you were talking about in the Target, and you feel them by. I knew without a doubt when she'd come to me. I knew Lindsay's here. Oh my God, I'd like be overwhelmed with this feeling of complete love that would bring me to tears. And I just want to say, for me, spirituality is love. I mean,
Well, look, for me, love is everything. And you start with that. I mean, openness and love. And what's really painful to me are people that can't love.
Well, it's only because they have blockages around their heart. You know, just like it's that's why doing the healing is so important, because our energy is not flowing freely if we have any of those traumatic experiences, any painful experience. And a trauma, a lot of people think like trauma is like this big event. A trauma could be as small as your mom didn't pick you up when you were crying. You know, those type of little things like affect a little being so much.
And it's
you know?
true, because I
Yeah.
had my first, I mean, you know, we talk about Reiki, well, at least my people do. And I never had one. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to go get a Reiki healing, whatever the heck that is. I'll try it all. I totally try it all, okay? So we went there, and I purposely didn't go to anybody in my goddess group, okay? So I specifically went to a stranger who had been recommended that didn't know shit about me. So I'm laying there, and they're explaining the process, and then, you know, blah, 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 blah. And literally, when she got to here, I'm laying down, like, literally, tears.
yeah.
And I said this story briefly before. I'm like, and I said to her, because I knew her hands were here, I said, I think I'm allergic to your perfume or something, because my eyes are tearing. It must be allergies. And she's like, no, Gaye, you're releasing. I'm like, but it was just weird. I mean, not weird. It was actually very good. And then at the end, you know, she said, you know, if I have messages throughout, you know, I will relay this to you. Do you want to hear it during or after? I said after, because I was too busy trying to figure out how I was crying when I really wasn't feeling the need to cry. And so at the end, she said to me, and this was really, she goes, I saw you as a child sitting in a playpen or something on the floor, and there were like two women in the distance, and you were trying to get their attention, which is no surprise because I was trying to get people's attention, but they didn't pay attention. And she said, and that is a trauma in you, hence why you do have abandonment and rejection issues, which I speak openly about it. I do. And I'm going to try to work on that one. But that was so amazing that she didn't know me. And she was able to, and and I'm not. Of course, I'm trying to go to the whatever old you are in a playpen, trying to go because that's another freaking thing. You know how these people can sit there and go, I remember when I was 8 months old, and I'm like, I think my first vivid memory was like maybe 6 years old.
Well, because it doesn't make sense to, it's like, so you're using this mind to try to make sense of something that a little kid can't make sense of.
So what are you guys, all three of you, what are your tips and tricks? Because, we have a half an hour left, and I know we've wandered, but I think, everybody knows it's about, awareness and awakening. What are your guys' tips? Let's say we don't go to you. How, as just normal, people wanting to sort of start to open that love, be open, get to that center. What are the first steps and basic steps? Because I think a lot of people, when they try and go straight to, I want to meditate or I want to do this, and you do it and you can't figure it out or it's not coming, we get discouraged and go, fuck it. I'm not going to do this.
Yeah.
So, and that's my personality, but I know it happens. So what are the basic steps? How do we start to tune in where we're not discouraged and we can start to open up?
Well, it's okay to be discouraged. It's okay to embrace wherever you're at. And just hold that part of you, and that's the first step. It's like, okay, however I'm feeling right now, I'm okay with it. It's just like, I shouldn't be discouraged because then that creates resistance. That creates anger against self. And you're not moving into the loving, you're actually recreating a lot of that same old patterns.
Right.
So that would be the first step. Second step, notice when you're triggered, acknowledge that, and be with that part of you and understand, like, hey, you know what, right now I'm triggered. You could write about it. You could, writing is very, a lot of people, everything's on the computer, but writing taps you into your subconscious. So just keep writing. I think it's called morning pages in the artist's way.
Yeah.
Just do 3 pages.
I've got that book. I put it down.
Just keep
I've
writing.
got all the books. Trust me. Okay.
Yeah, you got to keep writing, because soon enough, you'll see the judgments come up. You'll see what is really going on, because it's never about that situation. If I'm upset about that person, if you go deeper and deeper and deeper, it's because I don't matter. It's because I don't feel loved, or I'm not good enough. Those are like 3 core ones. That's what's actually making you upset. It's not about the situation. So it's like if you layer by layer by layer, but that's a process. It's not saying, oh, now I know why. Because if you're using your intellectual mind, you're not getting to the core of it. A lot of people, like, if you have a symptom, my friend was asking me how I do it. I go, be the symptom. I didn't take her through the process. She's like, I just want to do it on my own. I said, okay. So I gave her and she got to the first layer. I'm like, that's not it. So it's like, well, I know why, but it's like, okay, so why are you afraid? So it's like, you got to go deeper and deeper and deeper. And like I said, usually it's because I don't feel lovable. I don't feel deserving. I feel unworthy. I'm not good enough. And working with those core beliefs is what's going to shift the energy. But it's not like, oh, I found it, now I'm fine.
No.
It's like constant. It's a spiritual practice. Awareness is
Ongoing.
constant, because when we're not aware, our subconscious takes over. If we're not making a point to say, hey, you know what, every time I put my hand on this water, I'm going to recognize the water. I'm going to feel it. I'm going to be, it's like, that's presence. When we're present, we don't have all these issues going on. Because when we're present, we're just dealing with what is. But the mind is going to take us in the past or future, because being present for somebody who has a lot of trauma, who has any pain or anything, is challenging. So our mind is a protectivism at the same time.
It's comforting, like Eckhart Tolle, and listening. I know, he's the one that a lot of people quote with the power of now and everything. But I've been actually trying to do that for the last week, and even over the holidays, I would notice when my mind was starting to think in judgments or past or future or worries or whatever, and I'm like, what are you doing right now? Just bring the focus back. In front of me, everything is safe right now. Everything's. What are you looking at right now? And that's a Buddhist way of looking at things too.
Yeah.
Mindfulness.
Yeah,
Mindfulness, exactly.
And so, but it's so comforting.
It's it's like,
Right?
because
But I'm going to say that. Shit. We have
Elaborate.
This is like limp dick.
Elaborate.
Okay, I'm sorry.
WTMI.
So if you're,
Are you the only one around? Oh, no, you're not the only one around the table this time that would know about that.
I said that first.
Anyway, so sometimes you think you're dealing with it, right? So like I think I'm dealing with my shit right now. I do my stuff and there's all kinds of work going on. Now, I go to bed, right? Think I'm tired. I crawl into bed and I lay there like, oh my god. I literally for hours lately, and I'm like, I can't sleep. In the last 2 weeks, I feel like I've slept maybe 3 hours a night.
Well, that's because we've been getting in at 2:00 in the morning every single night for the last 2 weeks.
We're supposed to share that.
Actually, that
So
could
when-
be a calcium deficiency.
When all
believe
of
it or
that
not.
manifests, like all of that
Magnesium.
head stuff manifests as something that now you absolutely can't control.
But the thing is,
You
Kim,
know?
doesn't that happen to you when you're in the quiet? See, for me, I agree with her too. Not that but it's when I'm in the quiet. Like if I'm constantly around, I'm good. I mean, actually present. I do what I do, but it's that quiet space that I start to sit there and then think about shit.
That's why a
just
lot of people
stuff.
like to stay busy because they don't want
Busyness
to have
is
to deal with
And
it.
you
It's
don't
a
have to be
defense
with yourself.
mechanism.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a defense protective mechanism.
But I mean, getting back to like Francesca, because when Francesca was one of the first people I think I called in general about this, and I had 15 birthday parties this holiday season, but
No, for herself,
for myself,
not for
Oh,
15
clearly.
birthday parties.
no, for myself. Oh look, Mara got me this really cute little gift from Victoria's Secret.
Maybe share the card too.
Here is the Whoville, the Whoville Dr. Seuss thing, and the card is a party animal just based on the last
Shake it.
month. Shake. What do you want me to
got-
shake
No,
this
it's
or
got
shake this?
glitter in the card.
Shake it.
Shake it like
Um,
a Polaroid
But
picture.
talking about Francesca, we were talking about, we had an offline conversation because Francesca offered at one of my 15 birthday parties to have a guided meditation. And then it ended up being that this party was about 215 people. So we decided maybe we shouldn't do this and do it at a later date or a private session. But we were talking about something and I can't remember. And you used the word awakening versus, I can't remember what the other word was. Because I said something, you go, no, it's an awakening. And and you were really clear with that. And even when I posted the thing on Facebook, I had put awakening and awareness, and she said, correct it. It's awareness and awakening. So the awareness is the prep and being present and doing the work and understanding it. And then the awakening is when you come out the other end and this stuff sort of gels together.
Well, I don't think it's that black and white.
I am black and white, so explain.
Bring it
So,
together. Go in the gray.
Yeah, go in the gray, because
well, I love everything Deborah said, and I totally agree with it. And I think the other thing is, too, is that once you get in touch with the triggers, nobody triggers you. You have to have triggers within you, okay? We blame other people. Oh, my God, you said this, you did this, you triggered me. No. So when we feel something that somebody says to us, that's our work. That's like Byron Katie says, do your work, right? Right. Do your work and stay out of people's business. And I love that. And so when we get in touch with those triggers, that is our work. And as we work through those triggers, realizing, oh, it's also to say to the person, what was your intent? I heard orange, but you said green. So it's very important for us to communicate clearly, and a lot of us, unfortunately, have not been taught to do that. So if I'm uncomfortable with something you've said, I'm going to look at that, and I'm going to see that's really within me. It's really within me. It's my trigger. And then I'm going to work on that. And as you keep doing that over and over and over again, you just become more aware.
So you're saying if someone perpetually does something, let's say Kim does something to me, and it constantly
No, she doesn't do anything to you.
No, this is what I'm saying. But I'm saying
She triggers
she
something.
she triggers something in me. So you're saying that based on that's triggering me, I need to look within myself to really dig deep as to why what she does.
No, it has nothing to do with what she does. It has to do with what is the emotion that's coming up for you. Okay?
What are you
Did you
saying it
feel like a
means?
hurt little kid? Oh, Kim said this and that just didn't feel good. Well, it's that little kid. You go back to that place, but it's not conscious really. But
It's an
over
automatic
time-
regression.
Yes, exactly.
What's it called?
Automatic regression.
Yeah,
So
automatic
you get
regression.
triggered, you automatically respond from the wounded place.
Right.
And you're filtering your perception.
Right.
So she did something, but for somebody else, it may not have affected them that way.
Okay, so here's the
Yeah.
thing. So she has her normal behavior. It triggers something in me. How do I stop myself at that moment to sort of be reactive to?
Well,
Stop yourself at that moment.
but I mean, but normally you can't because you're caught. For me, because I'm pretty passionate and I got a big mouth, and I automatically it's like,
That's your work.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So you learn not to be
Nailed it.
reactive, and you learn to respond, and you learn to say to Kim, that what you just said. Thank you. What you just said. I felt hurt by that. She didn't hurt you.
No.
But you felt something, and whatever that feeling was, is your work.
To go explore it.
As
I know
far
T
as-
has something to say. 'Cause
Yeah.
she's sitting
Well,
here real
I mean,
quiet, and you're never quiet.
I know it's so interesting to hear everybody, but I think, identifying the emotion that you're feeling, but going back to what Mara asked, because I think that was a really good question. It's about, synchronicities, and I feel like that's kind of the language of the universe. So,
Yes.
so
Absolutely.
speaking that language, practicing that, and asking for signs. One of the things about sometimes when people they want to fix it themselves, right? So but you're staying in your mind still. When you surrender and you ask for a sign, it's outside of yourself, and you're really open. Crazy, wacky, wonderful things happen.
Yeah, I've had some weird on the nose things. This isn't a big, huge. It was weird to me because when I was doing my web series at the time, I had this character in mind, and I wanted to get. I had him working as a director at Paramount, specifically a director at Paramount. I went into Goodwill and I was looking for props and things, and I had asked in somewhere that I wasn't conscious of that I get something, and I was wanting a baseball cap but I was looking around, I didn't see anything. So as I was checking out with something else I bought, there I look over on a mannequin. There is a black baseball cap with Paramount Studios written on it. I was freaked out because that is just so crazy. And I think because I had no resistance to it, I wasn't scared. So it happened.
Well, it's happening all the time. I remember I pitched my business to a certain place, and I didn't get it. And I was driving home, and I get behind a license plate that said "Trust God anyway."
Oh wow!
And it was just
Yeah.
so things like that. I don't really ask for signs; they just show up. And then today,
Yeah.
I was walking to put the trash out, and this lady stops me, and she's like, "Do I know you?" I said, "I don't know. Do you?" And she goes, "Do you know some girl?" And I said, "I didn't know her." And she goes, "Well, I'm manifesting, but I'm in this space where I'm open to being in a relationship again." And she was telling me, she's she's a speaker and her partner, and I'm like, that's what I want. When we're a partner that's together with me and doing our business, it's just so
she seems to know your need, or
the
what?
universe
Yeah,
yes.
was speaking through her. And it's so things like that. It's just it's
It
always
is
happening
weird
everywhere.
and uncanny. Sometimes it's songs that I'll hear
Songs.
one
Oh.
song on the radio.
no, wait.
Songs
Once I
are
heard-
everything.
Songs are me. I mean, Jurgen.
No, wait. I'm
What?
sorry. I've got
She's
the
got a
ultimate.
song.
The morning my husband died, we were in the ICU. He was in a coma, and the first song. This is the sequence that happened literally as he was dying. The first song that came on was "If You Leave Me Now, You'll Take Away."
Chicago.
Ooh, no, baby, please don't go. I thought, ooh, maybe he's gonna be okay. Until the next song, which was Paul Simon. I would not give you false hope on this strange and mournful day, for the mother and child reunion is only a moment away. And his mother is dead. So I knew that's when he wasn't going to come back. The next song, ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no valley low enough, ain't no river wide enough to keep me from you. The next song, I don't care what you say anymore. This is my life. Go ahead with your own life. Leave me alone. And he was dead.
Wow.
And I know it was him.
Of course it was. But I mean, my whole thing with music, because I resonate a lot with music, probably more than anything. And I like to play this game, okay? Because it happens. I have like I shuffle songs. It used to be the iPod, but now I have really no control of it because it's not my playlist. I'll put on Pandora or something and just let it go. And this happens every time I go to see like somebody. Whether it's a friend, but a somebody.
Who's
because,
a somebody?
Because I always, you know what? Because with every
somebody.
person in my life, there's one song that reminds me of them. I don't know why. Whether it's I experienced time with them and that song played, and that's immediately. But I always resonate with one person with the song. And it's kind of funny because when I go to, let's say I'm going to drive to see Mara. I'm just making this up. It's like immediately when I get in the car and I just put it on.
You hear Like a Virgin, right?
That like a virgin. Exactly. It'll be like it's like I know I'm going to see Mara, but that song will come up. And then I'll play the game going, so what kind of meeting is this going to be? You know? And then all of a sudden, if it's like, I'm like, okay, so now what? You know, now what am I going to do with Mara? You know? And then sometimes it'll be not with you. No.
Sex is on fire?
No. Not together. But it depends. But like, then something will say like, because then I'll go, well, if I'm driving there, am I going to get some tonight? And all of a sudden, like Marvin Gaye will come on, Sexual Healing. And I'm like, whoa! You know? And I swear to God, whatever, I sit there and I'm communicating with this music and stuff, like whatever.
Fun game.
It is a fun game. It's a really fun game. And like, for real, even though it's kind of like, and then like if I'm going somewhere and let's say, I haven't done this in a long time, but having sex, but it's like if these songs come up in a sequence,
Right.
I will go in there just like a peacock going, I'm going to get it tonight. You know? But I do.
Told me.
But the thing is, then it'll happen. And I mean, look, I know you guys think I'm like really out there, and I am. But when it comes to sex, I am not.
No,
I
you
am
don't.
so not the aggressor. It's usually so. You know, so I'm thinking about it going, it's going to happen, but it ain't going to happen because I'm going to make it happen because then that would not be true because then I'm actually doing something. So I just let it and then it happens. And it's so cool.
I had
Wait,
something.
don't you think that's almost like the perfect example of synchronicity and then the law of attraction?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that comes on synchronicity, right? And then you're into it and
So
you
you
just
know.
carry it
But
to
the knowing
fruition.
too. The knowing is really powerful because I remember.
You're surrendered.
Yeah, when you know something, there's no like blockages.
Yeah,
Right.
that's right.
You're not stopping
Yeah,
yourself.
yeah, you're not like doubting or worry or whatever.
Well, yeah.
So
Like,
you people that are counting yellow cars, try this. This is fun.
It's funny. I had an emotional conversation with someone I really cared about that was really spiraling out of control. We were in the car and Stand By Me came on by Benny King. And I just turned it off because I didn't want it to maybe bother her. I don't know, maybe she didn't even notice, but it was just too fraught with emotion. The very next day, I got in the car, that song came on again. Later that day, I was walking down the boardwalk at Santa Monica, and a guy starts busting in to Stand By Me.
Wow.
And I'm like, this is weird. Like, this is too weird. This is a sign.
But it's like,
it
I
is.
think when you're open to signs happening, sometimes I think because I resonate so much with music that's how it communicates with
Me
me.
too.
So I can go, uh-huh.
Well, it's funny because remember we were talking a little bit about our same situation right now. So I went to the place where this girl that I like work, and we're having issues, and this song above said, "Put a little love in your heart." Not for me, but for her. I was laughing. She didn't know what was going on. I'm like, oh yeah, Spirit, bring it on.
It's definitely.
But it is true. I mean, and just like sort of, we have 8 minutes left, but I mean, sort of rounding up, I mean, like, it seems just from this discussion and, guys, gals, whoever's watching, I mean, the answer is within you because it starts and it is within you. And it's to be able to notice it and really be open to understanding. And I do believe with pain comes the greatest growth. With change comes the greatest growth. And I think we all to some degree, you've got something to say. But I think to some degree, it's the ugly stuff sometimes that I don't think we want to deal with. But that's the part of the way that we're going to actually get through it and heal. Go ahead. I know you have something to say, T.
Well, no, but I mean, I think that just the absolute surrender, because they're like angels everywhere, and I've had these experiences of just one that happened the other day. We went to go see the holiday Cirque du Soleil, and everybody was like dropping things, and I was laughing so hard, right? And I went outside, and there was this homeless lady, and I could tell she was one of those, right? You can just tell.
Yeah.
And she threw her lighter up, and on purpose dropped it, and then looked up at me and said, "Well, we all can't be perfect, and God's not perfect. What fun would that be?" And then that was on top of the taxi ride over, where the guy kept talking about like being here and now. So if you want to know, and then just like ask the question, and then what happens is the conversations get clearer and clearer. You'll start meeting like randomly. People will come up and tell you things. It's
So
a
I
good
think-
practice.
So I think the thing is to be open, right, Cheryl?
One thing I like
Yeah.
to tell people is to like set an intention and try to be in receiving mode. So many of all of us are givers. We love to give because it feels great, but we want to practice receiving because the universe wants to talk to you or wants to send you signs or play you a song. So really try to take a few hours out of the day and just be in the receiving mode. Don't make the call or don't initiate the computer. Wait to see what comes to you. Wait to see who opens the door for you or says something nice about the day. And let that and be that's your intention is I want to hear the universe talk to me today.
Do you have
know?
to ask a question first?
You don't have to ask anything because you want to surrender to whatever is supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Right.
Just try to be in receiving mode. Practice
Pay
receiving.
attention
It
and
really is
watch
a
what
practice.
happens. Yeah, pay attention.
Yeah, it's
How
really
did
a
you
gift.
how did you get over that when you're free form writing and you're hearing that voice and the English voice? How did you get over the fear that initially started? Where oh my God, what's going on? Like how did you finally let that just go through you?
She's so loving. I mean, it's just this energy that moves. Like I feel so safe, safest I've ever been with anybody. Like I said, it is my higher self, and she's just this. She helped me through my healing. Like she helped me heal. A lot of people, it's hard to do on your own, especially from anorexia or any trauma or anything like that.
Well, I mean, it's anything. It's
Anything.
I mean, it's alcoholism, drug addiction, bulimia, anorexia. I mean, that is so deep seated that it's not like. I hate when people just sort of go, well, if she drinks too much, she could stop.
Yeah. Well, my dad used to say, God damn it, Dad, just stop. You
Yeah,
know, it's
yeah.
just like, okay, yeah, I'm killing the
Why
family.
didn't I think of that?
Yeah, I'm killing the family. I'm
Wow.
killing him.
Yeah.
They blame my family blamed me for my dad's death. They said I put too much stress on him. My dad blamed me for his death. So I carried that guilt for a long time. So there's a lot of guilt and shame and stuff that I carried, as well as a lot of trauma as a little kid. A lot of so all that was
But do you
stored
think,
inside of me.
do you think, just quickly speaking about addictions in general, because we all are addicted to something, some more harmful than others. We should all be addicted to love, that and peace, and that should really be
I'm addicted to love.
what we should be addicted to. But so all that stuff underlies with this trauma that has happened in our lives. So like, how do you? So you're saying to tap into that pain instead of like drinking your pain away, or putting your finger down your throat, or refusing to eat, or mainlining. So it's sort of like when those thoughts come in your head to buy that bottle of wine or go and score that whatever drug things people score. What do you do instead? What's that replacement?
So I love this because for me, a lot of people said, like, how did I get healthy again, right? Because anorexia is pretty serious.
Yes.
It's the highest mortality rate of any mental illness, and 3 of my friends actually died from it. My body actually shut down. My organs were eating on itself. I went into cardiac arrest. I'm really a miracle. 23 years of starvation, that's a long time.
Wow.
That's a long time.
Yeah, so a lot of people ask me, well, I didn't focus on the food. I made myself stop it because I was like exercise addiction too. I would sit on my couch, my body would sweat because it would go through all these withdrawal symptoms, and I would shake, and I just sat through it. But what it was I started healing. I started loving. Loving yourself is the key. And I started making healthier choices. My body started restoring itself on its own. I didn't say, hey, I'm going to gain weight. I didn't do any of that. I don't focus on the
But
symptom.
how did you get the strength to do it? Because so many people they try, they go to the
I'm
programs.
a Scorpio.
There you go. You need to be a Scorpio. Gaye.
Whatever.
I turned my stubborn. I'm stubborn, right? Anybody with anorexia has to be pretty damn stubborn
Yeah.
and not eat. So I turned that in another way. But I think a lot of it too. So my dad died in 1996. My mom died in 2007. My mom was more an enabler. And I really, truly believe that I wouldn't be where I'm at today if my mom didn't die, because I was always looking to her. So when she died, it was like, okay, it's just
wow.
me and God.
Yeah.
And I started my healing journey a little bit before that. I went to hypnosis school. I learned hypnosis, subconscious, learning that. But I still was really engulfed in my eating disorder.
that's what you've done.
Yeah.
And obviously you have a book.
Yeah.
But for the
I have
normal
5 books.
But for the normal
my
person
baby.
who doesn't have that, they're sitting there, they're despondent. They go to that dark place. What can they do for that immediate moment to sort of get through that step to not mainline or not drink that glass of wine?
You have
Eat
to
the
let
cake.
you gotta let those feelings flow. You've got to just sit through that uncomfortableness. You just got to do it. You got to face the fear.
So you peel the onion.
Yeah.
I'll have the onion. Just totally expose yourself in your safe space. Allow to go through the emotion.
Well, it's
allow
not
to-
going to feel safe. It's
Well-
not going to feel safe. The thing is, it's like with it's just like you got to go into that dark alley. It's like it takes I say it takes a strong soul. I don't know. You asked me how. I don't know how I had the strength, because my whole focus was on beating myself up, harming myself. I hated myself. I hated life. I hated being here. I hated everybody.
So you start with
know?
self-love. So you start with maybe, I'm just throwing this out there. You start with maybe some practices and some whatever, to just start with self-love, because you have to kind of love yourself to want to live, to want to be healthy
But you're not-
before you can undo that,
You're
right?
not going to love yourself right away.
No.
I would
Doesn't
say,
it start
like,
with the desire to want to do something?
and it's. I mean, for
You
me,
have
it
to
was
want it.
want it or rock bottom.
Yeah.
For
exactly.
me, it was
So
rock bottom.
It's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So
It's
if-
different for everybody. I can't say there's not one way. All I know is healing is a process. It's not an event.
and a lot of people have to hit rock bottom
Yeah.
a million
Right.
times
Yeah.
before they are willing to embrace a different way.
So see, everyone, we've come to another end of our lovely show, Between the Sheets. It's not about, getting that 5-star to do it within a 3-week amount of time. Healing is a personal journey for everyone. Don't beat up on yourselves. We all stumble and fall, but it's, again, like I said at the beginning of the show, it's come full circle. And you've heard everybody's experiences, everybody's stories. It's a matter of always getting back up, because, one of my favorite words is hope. And my friends, make fun of me sometimes as a joke, and they go, "You're always hopeful, even in the worst situation." But you have to have hope.
Well, there's a silver lining in everything, and if you could find the silver lining, then it'll offer you hope.
But that's what I mean. So you really have to sort of program your mind to see that there's hope, that there's always going to be light at the end of the tunnel. And whatever tools or people that come into your lives or messages, just strictly to get on the other side of that,
Books.
whatever it is.
Well, that's why I share
No,
my story, to offer hope. Because
but whatever
yeah,
it is,
yeah.
there's always the light at the end of the tunnel. And if this book doesn't work or this doesn't work, just don't stop. Don't feel self-defeated. Also, reach out to others for help. We're not all, we're here on this earth. We're separate individuals, but we're a group, and it's really all about unity. And the center force is love. And I think if we did a lot more of that, I think we'd all be in a better place. So start out, reach out to your neighbor, reach out to someone and say, "I love you." And I
And
say
we're
it
all
a
walking each
million.
other home.
We're all and I say it a million times to people, because at that I may not really love you, but at that moment, I do. So have a great evening. Thanks for tuning in. I want to say thanks to Mara, Cheryl, Kim. Thanks, Durga. Durga will probably be back.
Can she
T
sing a
from
song?
Ojai. She's amazing. We love our T. Francesca, thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have a website? What do you have?
Yes, FrancescaAster.com.
Okay, ASTER. Deborah Mittler.
Yeah. Oh, livingintheloving.com.
Come on, promotion, babe.
Livingintheloving.com.
Dirk, I know you have a website. Go.
Just look for me on Facebook. I got all kinds of music coming out this year.
Cheryl, if people want to read him, what do they do?
CherylMurphy.net.
And if somebody wants some mortgage stuff, what do they do, T?
I don't know. Pray.
Don't you have, don't, whatever. Thank you, Tony. Everybody, thank you. Please have a wonderful 2 weeks. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Well, we're back. I can't remember the date, but it's always the 1st and 3rd of every month. BetweenTheSheetsPodcast.com. And in the studio that week is someone who used to be my therapist, who's now my friend, so now she can't be my therapist. Her name is Christina Castle. And the lovely topic is secrets, lies, betrayal. Get your questions ready. Thank you, guys. Namaste. Have a great night.